Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone's having a great start to the weekend. It is the mid-season finale. We've made it to season 4, episode 6, Brother Blood. What a chaotic mid-season finale. Like I said in my initial reaction, this episode was severely okay. I think what it is for me this season so far, the main story and antagonist is a lot stronger than what we've gotten in past seasons, mainly because Sebastian is not one dimensional, so there's a lot more to work with. But the character decisions and motivations are so all over the place to the point where it's now starting to affect the quality of the main story and my overall enjoyment of what I'm watching. And I don't want that to persist. So I'm hoping this next half is just going to be amazing, which I'm sure it will be. But as it stands, like a lot of what's happening in this finale, I feel like was just to pad the runtime. So let's not even waste time, right? So we open with my least favorite aspect of the entire episode. Connor Luthor. He's born, unfortunately. Shaves his head, does the whole woo-ha. We cut away from that, and Rachel and Kory are heading back to Star Labs, kind of just reeling from what happened with Sebastian. And Rachel takes this moment to tell Kory that she saw her vision with Mari, which I don't know how, but whatever. She saw the vision, and then she also tells Kory Dick pretty much had the exact same vision. And Kory is a bit shocked because she didn't know this. So she's kind of processing that. We cut away from there, and we are with Sebastian and Mother Mayhem. This is the part of the episode where I feel like they're padding the runtime because, like I said, you set it up last episode where he says, all my life I felt like nothing. You don't give any visual cues to that. You just kind of leave that hanging. And we get to a point where that should come back up again and it should influence his decision to go with Mother Mayhem, but that doesn't happen. You have it so he goes with Mother Mayhem to save Rachel and Kory, which he admits in this scene. So basically, this whole episode until the very end, he is fighting the urge to transition and ascend, to being Brother Blood, which it gets old after the second time, in my opinion. But whatever. Mother Mayhem, notices this and the time, you're running out of time. So she hatches a plan to make Sebastian kind of transition and ascend willingly because she doesn't want to force him for whatever reason. Even though he's already there, the process has started. You don't want to just push him in the pool and get it over with. Whatever. So we cut away from that and the team regroups. Arghh comes back. He's in human form. So yay. Dick asks about Connor and like how he's doing. And this point we start to get little nuggets that something's not right with Connor. Tim says, oh, that he calls me home slice. I'm like, home slice? What writer slipped that in there? Like, home slice? Okay. And then they also say, Jinx says that Connor said she was hot. So, hey, he seems fine to me. So that was pretty funny. Kory and Rachel come back and they have bad news. Sebastian's with Mother Mayhem. So the Titans kind of plan out how to save Sebastian. Well, really, it's Dick. But this moment is nice with the team to just kind of see them huddled around, doing their thing, hatching out a plan. They do it multiple times this episode. And I really liked it. I really, really enjoyed it. It's just nice to see them talk things out together and really find a way to common ground and save the day. It's wonderful. So, during this scene, Arghh is snacking on a banana, which is great foreshadowing for later. But Connor Luthor makes his entrance to the team. I was laughing the entire time. Connor's scenes were very hard to get through, but they were also hilarious as hell. So, we love it. Yay. So Connor suggests that we just kill Sebastian and Mother Mayhem and let's go because she killed my dad, so she's gotta go. And it's like, this is the same dad that you didn't even care about. Like, whatever. Rachel says that's not happening. We're not murderers. Connor eats her up and is like, really? Okay, yeah. What about all those other people that every single one of you is murdered with really the exception of Tim? Like, come again. So he he kind of eats the Titans up this episode. I was like, oh no. But we cut away from that. Gar enters a stairwell. He's kind of having a panic attack because he's kind of reeling from what happened with him and his transformation to a virus. I really loved this. This was my favorite aspect of the episode, everything dealing with Gar, because finally we have a moment in the show where his trauma is addressed and it's not brushed over. Because what happened with him turning into a virus and turning back into human, like, that's a lot. And he's clearly not okay. He has an intense vision, and it causes him to tear up, and you just feel so bad. I wanted to give him a big hug. Gar has this weird moment where he hears Connor's voice saying, "You're not all the way back, are you?" Before Connor actually enters the scene and says it himself. So I'm not really sure what that was about, but it was creepy, and I like how it was executed. So we cut away from that, and Sebastian is still resisting the transition. So Mother Mayhem hatches the first part of her plan, which is a flashback. Basically, it's just a plethora of flashbacks throughout Sebastian's life. This first one is with him as a kid. And basically, the overarching theme of all of these flashbacks is Sebastian's strength and genius and whatever should be rewarded and not another person's weakness. That's the overarching theme throughout all of these flashbacks. So we cut away from that, and Dick checks up with Connor. He is all over the Star Labs employees running the show, and I'm like, what the hell? Dick really doesn't check him like directly throughout most of the episode. He has some great comeback moments, but as far as like checking him on his behavior, he doesn't really do that, which I was surprised. But I get it because there's a lot going on. So, but Connor basically suggests that he should be called Mr. Luthor ill. And then he introduces his own plan to basically take the moon away in an effort to erase the blood moon for a short time. So he's going to reroute some satellites and make it so it's an illusion of a regular moon and stop the ritual. Dick pulls Connor to the side after hearing this, and he's like, look, first of all, don't call me Richard, because before this point Connor had called Dick Richard like 3 times. And so Connor is like, for why? And then Dick's like, well, because of everything that happened with Lex. He called me Richard and then tried to kill me, so don't do it. Connor tries to defend Lex's actions against him and Dick, saying that, if he really wanted you dead, he'd rig the room with explosives. That's what I do. And I'm just like, are you not gonna check this man? Like, come on. So Dick is slowly processing everything, and I feel like in his mind, he decided, I can't really address this shit right now because we have so much going on. So he tries another approach. He acknowledges what Connor has been through and basically suggests that you take some time, figure this shit out. Connor's like, no. So then Dick consults Bernard on everything and basically asks, like, is this plan gonna work? And Bernard is like, yeah, it's probably gonna work. And so Dick gives the all clear. So after Dick gives the all clear, he goes back to Connor, and Connor tries to be a smartass, like, well, how's your plan going, buddy? Jinx comes in at just the right moment, like, look, I have an idea. And then Dick hits him back with, it's going well, thank you very much. And he walks away. I was like, you go, Richard, you go. So we cut away from there, and we're with Jinx now, who comes up with a plan to basically teleport Sebastian to them. And the way that's going to work is he would be disorganized, which is basically, he'd be split up, different body parts, whatever. And then once that arrives at a mutual location, he would be reorganized, essentially put back together, and boom, you have Sebastian. So we cut away from there. Sebastian is still resisting the transition. So we have the second flashback with him as an adolescent. Basically, he ends up getting punished for being smarter than his teacher. So after the flashback, Mother Mayhem realizes that something's wrong with the blood moon. And the guy that she's with, he's like, look, we're running out of time. Like, force him. Let's do this. She's like, no, I'm not going to do it. He will not be forced to drink from the blood well. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want. We cut away from that. Dick is running through the probability of being able to successfully reorganize matter with a Star Lab scientist. And while that's happening, Jinx and Rachel have a little conversation concerning Rachel's powers. I thought this was a great moment between Jinx and Rachel. She basically tells Rachel, like, look, I feel like your powers couldn't have been taken from you unless you wanted that to happen. So she clocks Rachel in that moment, and Rachel admits, like, she really has enjoyed feeling normal, being normal, but ultimately she decides, yeah, I kind of want my powers back because being normal is a little overrated. So Jinx is in full support. I loved it. And they start the spell to get her powers back. And part of it is Rachel eating Jinx's hair, which was bad, very gross. Bernard calls Dick, like, come get your boy, he's doing the most. They go back to where Connor is. He's enacting his satellite plan, and the Titans are kind of highlighting their insane week. And then Tim ends it with, and I kissed Bernard. Whatever, Tim. Nobody cares. So the plan ends up being successful. Everybody's cheering. Woo, woo, woo. We cut away from that. We are with Mother Mayhem, and she's basically trying to piece together why the blood moon is fading, what is happening, and she deduces that someone at LexCorp, something with LexCorp, had something to do with this. So she tells her guy follower to hack into the LexCorp servers, and, they're doing that. We cut back to the team. Tim and Bernard are on the side talking, which I just really could care less about. But basically, Bernard is relieved to hear that Tim is not going to be in the line of danger anytime soon. And I'm just like, Bernard, what do you think is going to happen with this? Like, eventually, he's going to be fighting crime because you gave him the means to do so. And you know his passion for wanting to be a Robin. Like, all right, Bernard. We pan over to Gar, and he is having more intense visions and panic attacks. I just feel so bad for him in this moment. But this moment leads to the most wholesome moment in the entire episode. It truly warmed my heart. Kory checks in on Gar. She's noticing something's wrong. He's like, it's okay. I just need to go get some air. This has been happening all day. And she's like, look, do you want me to come with you? Like, do you want company? And his response is he hugs her. And it was just such a sweet moment. It was so quiet, but it was perfect. I love that Gar has someone to lean on, even if it's for a second. And I love that it's Kory because I've been wanting more moments between them. And it was just perfect. It was an amazing moment. So Gar runs out to get some fresh air, and while he's doing so, he runs into a mysterious man. This man is pretty much aware of his visions and what's going on. So he gives him a couple pieces of advice and drops some very nice Easter eggs. So he tells Gar, like, you will see what's happening. The animals will see, just like Mari McCabe and Buddy Baker. And I was like, how dare you name drop Vixen and Animal Man? How dare you? It was so good. But then he tells Gar, look, when the tower's crashing down, go to the red. Everyone's life is dependent on you. So it's like, ooh, that's pressure. But I actually like that Gar is having this pressure put on him. Like, he has something to do. I'm just so happy, and it's being carried out so well. So we cut away from that, and we are with Dick and Connor. He basically tells Connor good job because the plan was successful. Connor is unable to not be a smartass, so he tries once again, and Dick nips him once again, like, you didn't really do all that much. All you did was move some satellites. Try again. So then Dick tells Connor that he's concerned about him because no shit, his behavior's insane. Connor does not take this well. He basically goes and verbally obliterates his team. And I was just sitting here the first time I watched it with my mouth agape, like, so he calls Rachel useless, says Gar is losing his mind, Kory's power is inconsistent, and Tim is just utterly useless. So at this point, I'm like, okay, Dick, you should have pulled out the kryptonite from last season and just right in Connor's face, and let's move forward. Because for Connor to say anything about anyone being useless is a fucking trip. Connor, you have no room to say that to anyone. You, my friend, are not only a liability, but you're the nexus for all the shit that has happened this season. All the shifts that have happened, all the plot points. It started with you. and your stupidity or your ego. It started with you. Hello. So you don't have any room to say anything about anyone just because you finally pulled your brain out of your ass and you finally contributed something to the team that didn't make things worse. And then it's like seconds later, he proves to be a liability once again because he finds Mother Mayhem's location and he decides to confront her alone. And we already know what it's going to come down to because this happens every time a Titans member goes off alone. So let's just move forward. Let's just move forward. Dick, after all of this, he tries to empathize again with Connor, saying, look, I get it. You know, we've all had to fight our dark side. Connor's like, this is not my dark side. This is me. And we all know how that turned out. So after all of that, we cut back to Sebastian. Once again, third time's the charm. He's still resisting the ritual. So we get a third flashback, but this one's a little different because Sebastian kind of self-sabotages his relationship as an adult. And Mother Mayhem highlights that to be a sin because basically you're taking on other people's failures and you shouldn't do that. So in an effort to convince him once more, she tells the followers, show your devotion. So they do that, and it turns out the three figures that stepped forward were the three figures from his past. So that's a thing. So we cut away from that. We're back with the Titans. Kory's trying to check in, make sure she has enough power to get the job done with Mother Mayhem. We find out that inside of a week, Kory went from having access to 8% of her power to over 80%. 80%, that's a lot. That's over 10 times what it was a week ago. Like, I think the writers dug themselves into a hole because every fight scene following, Kory should be whooping ass. One blast should send someone through like 3 walls. But that's not going to happen because writers, so I don't know. And then once again, we get this warning that if she does too much, if she goes all out, she could die. And I really hope she doesn't die. Maybe it'll be like a near death, which, my heart will stop. But knowing that she'll be okay, I'll be okay. And that'll catapult Dickkory anyway. So win-win. Let me stop. But we cut away from that. And Dick runs through the plan one more time before they go to try and get Sebastian back. So after Dick does all of that, he goes off to the side with Jinx and they kind of have a nice moment. At least I felt like it was a nice moment. He gives her the $5 million that she is very well owed, and she basically alludes to still having feelings for him because she's like, did you really think this was about the money? And he's like, well, yeah, what else could it have been about? And that's kind of left in the air, and it's like, all right, let it stay in the air because nobody cares about you and he getting together. Nobody cares. Moving forward. So Connor confronts Mother Mayhem, and he burns her face off, and I was like, holy shit. But it turns out it was a fake out. He gets whooped yet again. What a shocker. Moving forward. Jinx, Rachel, and Kory perform the spell to get Rachel's powers back. So Rachel discovers Mother Mayhem's hideout during this whole thing and finds out that Connor was kidnapped alongside with Sebastian. So the Titans gear up. They kind of change the whole plan because of freaking Connor. They changed the whole plan, and now they got to go to the temple to do a head-on confrontation, which is what they were trying to avoid the entire episode. Thanks again, Connor. Moving forward, before they do all that, Dickkory finally has their moment, and I love it. So they finally talk about their respective visions. Kory questions like how real this prophecy is because everything's coming true. And Dick shuts that down immediately. He's like, look, to hell with prophecies and visions and destinies. And as soon as he said that, I said, Dick, no! And you could tell that was like a gut punch to Kory. And he didn't mean it, of course, because he doesn't know what she knows. But I was like, damn, Dick. Ugh. So Kory tells him like about her vision and that she knows he had basically the same vision. So Kory asks Dick, like, why didn't you tell me about this? And the look on his face, Dick wanted to just cry. He just wanted to break down and cry. Brenton killed this scene. Anna killed this scene. So my thing is, realistically, Why would he tell Kory? Like, we learned this episode, everything has happened inside of a week. Dick had this vision like 2 to 3 weeks ago. So why would he in all of this? Why would he tell her? Like, it all happened so soon. That's a lot to process. Like, of course he's not going to tell her, but I get it. She's hurt. It's a misunderstanding. It's a whole thing. The angst is here. It's real, and I love it. So we cut away from that. Dick runs down the new game plan for busting into the temple and getting Connor and Sebastian. He basically labels this as a smash and grab. And we actually see Crypto in this scene, which is very nice. We have not seen him, so I like that we got to catch up with him for a hot second. We cut away from that and we get to the best part of the entire finale, the final like 10 minutes. So Sebastian's about to complete the transformation. Finally, he's gonna drink the blood. But he's interrupted by badass Arghh busting as a gorilla, tearing shit up. I was just like floored that this was happening. I was like, yes. It happened for an extended period of time. I love it. So he finds the gem that holds Rachel's power. He breaks it. Rachel gets her power back. She becomes White Raven. Still don't like the white bodice, but whatever. So all this is happening. Kory and Mother Mayhem are going at it. Dick and her follower are going at it. Jinx appears and goes against Mother Mayhem. She's in full costume. Full costume. She does her freeze thing. And then 5 seconds later, she gets stabbed and she presumably dies. What a waste. I mean, just when I was starting to like her, this episode, I was finally starting to like Jinx and she dies. So isn't that poetic? But I don't think she's gone forever. I mean, there's no way you would go through all the effort of doing a photo shoot with her in full costume for this to be the only time we see it. So she's coming back, and I can't wait to see how she comes back. So Kory and Mother Mayhem go at it again, but basically it's a dead end. Sebastian finally completes the ritual. He screams, the tower begins to crumble, so Arghh, heeding the advice from earlier, says, "Take me to the red." He disappears. He's going somewhere else. All the other Titans disappear as well, but we don't know where the hell they're going. I'm assuming either Jinx or Rachel got them out. I know Jinx just died, but you know, whatever. I'm assuming it was one of those two, but we don't know where they are. It ends there, and I'm just like, holy smokes. Like, Brother Blood is born, and here we are. Like, what the hell? This was just so much, but it was, I don't know. I felt like they were dragging a little bit with the story. I think the whole thing with Sebastian, that should have taken 10 minutes. Like, there's no reason why you have to stretch that out the entire episode. If anything, they should have did the flashbacks last week, but whatever. Connor was super irritating. I don't know when I'm going to start to like him again. Everyone else was pretty okay, though. So I would say this episode, I'm going to stick with 6.5 out of 10. I just felt like things were dragging and it hindered my enjoyment, but we had some really nice moments between characters, which kind of helped save the episode. I don't have much else to say. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think or don't, but either way, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.